my co-host will be testing me and asking me questions.
How's Aaron? Exams is in June, isn't it?
Yeah.
Most of the exams are in June.
Yeah, today.
He's got office.
Yeah, he's chosen York and St. Andrews as backup, but he want to go to York. So I went with him to York on the first.
So he won't come down.
This
Because
place.
house prices are also very good. So think about it.
Yeah.
After 3 years, he says, well, let me do a master's 1 year. You won't see him again in London.
All right. But set here the moment, let me say.
The second one, if you middle one, because I was a bit confused. Middle one. Press the green button and the middle one will go. That's right. That's it. No, yeah.
Hello. Sorry. This is Community Care Matters, COP Radio. Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties. Thank for your patience. We are here this evening, and our host this evening is Brother Raymond Johnson. He is our host who is coming in to support us with the topic for examination preparation, examination stress, and examination support. Welcome, Brother Ray.
Thank you.
Who is Raymond Johnson?
Good question. Raymond, one of 4 children, did a little bit of a degree in chemistry, MSc in pharmaceutical sciences, and a PGC in teaching. So currently, I'm a science teacher, used to be head of chemistry, head of applied learning, and now I'm a quality nominee for Alexandra Park School in North London.
All right. And this evening, because personally I know you in terms of how you support young persons, how you support your children, and as a father, I'm really interested in challenges of young person, of parents in supporting their children. Can you tell us what you as a teacher you see in supporting children or young persons to be able to do well in education?
To be honest, I think every single child has got a potential to do well, and they really want to do well. But they need the environment, they need the love, and they also need the discipline to do well. And we normally say that a child that cannot be taught will not achieve good grades under a person who can discipline a child. So you have to be able, as a teacher, as a parent, as a guardian, as a family member, be able to discipline that child, encourage that child, love that child enough to be able to do well.
When you say discipline, what do you mean by discipline? Maybe let's talk about age range.
Mm-hmm.
You have a 5-year-old who comes from school and he or she wants to do his own thing. What do you say as a parent in terms of discipline?
As a parent, when you talk about discipline, you need to have some boundaries. And it's very important as a parent that you have the boundary as well. So, for example, in your home, if it's 7 o'clock and all of you have to read, you want a child to do homework, then you have to make sure at 7 you are not on your phone, you are not watching football, you are not watching TV, everything is off, and you are all reading. It could be a newspaper as a Christian, it could be your Bible. But the children needs to have that boundary that in my house between 7 and half 7, that's when we do our homework, and that's when daddy or mommy also reads. So if the boundary is there and you parent have that boundary, it's easy for the kids. But when there's no boundary, that's when it's difficult, because you expect a child to do homework and you, the parent, you are on your phone making noise, shouting or watching movies and making noise. It won't help the child.
All right. So let's talk about a situation where you have an environment where, as a parent, you don't have a space. How do you create that environment? How do you create that space for your children to be able to study?
That's a good question. To be honest, being a parent is not easy. That's why God commended Abraham, that because he knows Abraham is going to order his home according to what his dictates are, he called him a friend. You see, so as a parent, you have to create it. And that's, again, where boundaries comes in. We have to prioritize. We've given birth to these children. Yeah, we are caretakers of these children, but we need to prioritize our home. There should be space where children can comfortably go and sit and learn. It doesn't mean you should have a study room in a big house. It could be something small, an area small with a table and a chair there where they can comfortably learn.
Yeah, I like that. A table and creating the environment. Because sometimes I, as a social worker, I go into communities, I go to homes, and you realize that the parents have their own issues. Maybe they are not very educated, they don't have that space, and they have a number of children who are struggling. As a teacher, in terms of preparation, in terms of support, how do you link and support parents and the young persons, and how do you identify some of these young persons who are struggling? And when you have challenges where the parents are not doing what they are supposed to do, what do you do to support them so that the children, in terms of linkages, in terms of supporting the children, to be able to develop their potential? How do you support parents or the children?
I think depending on the school, I know there are loads of support for these children from dysfunctioning home, if I'm excused to use those words.
Mm-hmm.
For example, in my school, there are parents or kids that we have a lot of space for them where they go and then go and learn. One of the things that I think parents are not doing well is to ask for help. They need to ask the school's form tutor, they can ask head of year to say that, can you keep my child in school for an extra hour so that he can do his homework? Because, for example, we don't have internet at home. Mm-hmm. Teachers are more than happy to help because that's what we want to do. Mm-hmm. Teachers are there for teaching. We love it. That's what we want to do. Mm-hmm. We're not there for people say teachers always get their families into trouble, reporting to social services. That's not our work. Mm-hmm. We love to teach. So as long as we have that child who wants to learn, we have that parents who wants to support us, there's space in school.
All right. Which is interesting. So, for instance, parent evening, when there's an issue, because I sometimes, for instance, work with some children who are quite challenging and maybe disruptive. And sometimes these parents do not even have their phone on, so that sometimes I will get a phone call, and I remember recently I have to virtually chase a parent. And what he said to me was, I was shopping, I also have a life. I said, you have a life. Your child is on the verge of exclusion. And we've had meetings, we have support. So I'm talking about the extreme. I'm talking about parents who sometimes think that they are cheeky. They're telling you, yes, but you have a child. And if the child is excluded, even makes the situation worse. So in terms of some of these children, how do you support them? Or how do you... I'm talking of some children who are non-social services. They are different. But those who are not social services, or those who you feel that the parents are not connecting, how do you deal with them?
To be honest, let's not blame parents for everything. Yeah. Most parents are doing fantastic job, and well done to parents. Mm-hmm. There are few also that needs help. Yeah. There are few that are actually not ready to be parents. Or they don't know what a parent is. Yeah. And also parenting a child is not just by mom and dad's duty. It's a whole community. It's a whole school duty. Mm-hmm. So there should be help from every side. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of parents that are hiding under a lot of stress, but when they come out and they ask for help, we are fortunate to have a big church where we go. You can speak to other parents for strategies. You know, how did you help your child to go through GCSE?
Yeah.
How did you help your child to do the SAT?
Mm.
And if they talk, they open up, I think they will get the help that they need.
Yeah.
In terms of that dysfunctioning child and a child that finds or have a difficulty with behavior, you know, if you look carefully, you'll realize that fathers are not playing their role in those children's lives, some of them, or most of them. So, again, there is no line, there's no boundary which says that this is acceptable and this is not acceptable. But putting boundaries in children's life starts at an early age.
Yes.
It's not when the child is 13 or the child is 15 and going to write his exams. That's when you start taking the phone because it's not revising. You start it at an early age. So they know that this is unacceptable and you go to the naughty corner. So by the time they get to 9, 10, they are shaped well.
Yeah, I like that. They are shaped well. So we are talking about, because the reason why we started with preparation is that I believe that any child who we set the right environment, any child whom we support, once the child get that foundation, then it becomes a springboard to do greater things. And at the same time, one of the things I want to talk about as a father and as a social worker is, what do you see about children who have differences in learning, or what we call special needs?
I think most of the special needs, these kids are fantastic, and some of them are a pleasure to teach. You know, yes, they may not be as high academic as the others, but they also have their giftings. And as people, as parents, we have to be proud of what they can do. You know, there should be a little bit of a shift of mind where everything is focused on just academic, because as a total human being, that's what you are looking at. So how the child communicates, his social life and his behavior, and if those are spot on, you find with it, you know, because it's not all about just academic. There are other things they could do. There are applied learning courses, and most of them do greater things, you know.
Yeah. And those are the things I always find fascinating, because I work with young persons. Some years ago, I worked in the London Borough, where a 16-year-old was in a London school, a college, and the parents wanted this young person to play for West Ham. This boy said that kills him. Why? Because there was stress. This boy was interested in some other electrical or some brick laying in a college. But when the parents stopped putting that pressure on this boy, right? He said, I want to play football, I want to enjoy it, but I don't want to be professional as my parents. His energy level came. There was some distress. He was going missing. But immediately they stopped putting that pressure on him. Yeah. So this comes back to the issue about parents. When you support your children, it's not you living your dreams because Rooney is receiving so many millions. You want your child. You're going to kill your child, because that might not be his. So sometimes when I hear about parents, yes, we need to push our children, we need to encourage our children, but sometimes we need to also have to listen to them and support their. So this young person, when I did the report and I worked with the parents and I fed back, the parents heard this boy saying it, but they never took it into consideration, and some of the social problems he was encountering reduced, because they now listen to him that, yes, I want to play football, but I don't want to be a professional footballer. Yes, I'm interested in the course I'm doing in this college. Can you support me? This was something which the parents willingly supported, but it was like, oh, you had the skills. Yes, I have the skills, but I don't want the pressure of going through to become a professional footballer. And these are the things sometimes some parents either leave their dreams to their children, or sometimes they think that this is a child who can make it because other people are making it. And it's a mistake.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is. In terms of how parents push their children, it's quite encouraging what you said, you know, because most of the children are not matured enough to find out what they want to do. So parents have to dream for them. You know, it's always good to encourage their child.
And support them.
Oh, what do you want to do? Can I help you with that? You know, there are people, even parents, that are pushing their children to do courses that the parents even haven't got a clue of how the people survive in there. For example, if you want your child to be a teacher, do you know how long it takes for a teacher to prepare a lesson? Do you know that teachers mark late night? You know, there are some kids that really like that. You know, so exposure is very important. If you want your child to be a doctor, You know, have you visited a doctor in a hospital? Have you got a chance to speak to somebody who is a doctor and see his daily life? Does it fit what your child likes?
And your child interested to be coming that long hours?
That's it.
Yeah.
So we need to be a little bit knowledgeable about career choices and how it fits into our lives. It's not always easy, I must confess. You know, sometimes you have to do something a little bit more challenging, you know, than the usual easy way. Oh, I'm brilliant at that. So yes, it's true, you may be brilliant at it, but do you really enjoy it? You know, so if you enjoy it, then yes, you put in all the effort.
Yeah. I like how you put it in a kind of succinct way. Do you really enjoy it? Because there's difference between comparing back to this young person I was talking about. He said, I want to play it, but I don't enjoy the long hours. I don't enjoy the stress. I don't enjoy it. But this is what I want to do. But my parents want to force me. The word you use, force me to do what they think others can do. And that's so it's encouragement. So yes, we are linking this with exams, preparation and stress. The reason why we were talking about support is that we put it in the context of generally, because we know that you cannot just write examination without preparing. That's why I want to kind of lay this foundation of preparation. So I think we could take a few minutes break. Then when we come back, you can link in the next stage of, as a parent, once you supported your child to do any exams. And I think one thing we need to hear about is that examination are levels. So somebody might be doing stacks. You, the parent, need to go to parent teaching evening to know what this stats is about, what you can support your child. So you talk about some very, very important thing. You should not start when the child is 9. You should start at whatever. So if the start is being done at age 6, yes, unfortunately, you might not like it as a parent, but the school are doing it. So the support you give to your child is quite crucial. It is. And the preparation, you support your child. Because if you don't do that one, then the preparation is missed, then the stress level comes. Child can become disruptive. Yes. So we will take a few minutes break. When we come back, we'll be talking the next stage of preparation for examination. And we want to expand it. And I believe that once the preparation is start from a lower level, it could be even spread to university, postgraduate, whatever you want it. Because preparation is preparation. Yeah. Thank you.
Washing come no say, ya bewu obabening me amawo. Na ya fire say, oh when doja aso ya budi ansana ya when Jesus, as I am Yohane, was come say,
You may be going through a very sensitive moment of your life where you are filled with complex challenges and difficulties, and it seems there's no hope for you. People have given up on you, the devil has given up on you, and you have given up on yourself. But there is a God that is above, whose eyes are upon you, and he speaks for you. Lift that hands of yours everywhere. Jesus, Jesus, oh, your come up, Jesus, oh, Jesus, oh, your come up, Jesus, oh, Jesus, oh, your come up.
But can you
Hello.
hear yourself? Can you hear yourself? Because I couldn't hear myself.
I don't hear myself. Hello, hello, hello.
Your headphone is down.
We are back again. This community care matters, and the today's segment is about exams preparation support. We talked initially about preparation. We talked preparation in general as parents, how we could support our children, and now we are doing the second part where we discussing about basically preparation. And we know that most of our young persons are about to write GCSE as well as A-levels. So that's the reason why the guest today is Mr. Raymond Johnson, who is an experienced teacher, a head of department, a whole lot of things he can list off, and a very proud father of 2 young boys. So we are here today in the second segment of talking about examination preparation. Raymond, tell me about how you prepare young persons and how generally examination. So it stretches from SATs, A-levels, O-levels. No O-levels, sorry. GCSE.
GCSE.
Sorry.
I think with exams, that, for example, GCSE exams preparation doesn't start in year 11. It starts from year 7.
Mm-hmm.
The first day they walk into your lesson,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they know the content of the subject, and from there, that's where exam preparation start. So what we need as teachers, what we need as parents and students, what we need to know is that you don't wait till they said GCSE is in May. That's when you start revising. You prepare from the very first day you get into school. Okay, now it becomes more relevant and more real when you are in year 11 that you're going to write your GCSE. So that's where the revision intensifies. So in preparing for exams, you need to have some resources, and one of them is attendance in lesson. So if your attendance is very good, then you know that you are preparing towards the exams. So you have to make sure you've got your flashcards ready, you've got your notes ready, and at least you've got a past exam paper, a sampled paper that you have looked at. The good thing about school is that most of the mock exams, they use the real exams or the previous exam paper, so that whatever grade you get a good grade boundary and you know where you're working at.
So, basically, what you're talking about is in preparation, you or the young person needs to have a foundation of preparation from. So you're not talking about GCSE, because definitely before you choose a subject, you have gone through year 7, as you rightly said, till year 11. So by the time you get there, it's not because you just chosen this, or you plug it from the tree. That have been preparation.
Yes.
So you can't. Yes, I know the core subjects where you have to do it, but those chosen ones. So you have to be preparing. And if you have weaknesses, how do you support young persons?
So in terms of school, as a general, a lot of schools have intervention classes. They identify those that are doing really well so that they are pushed. They identify those that are finding the content difficult, so they are also helped. In some schools, they even have a C border. Those kids there have an extra section where they come in maybe after school every Monday to work on that. Okay. In my case, I normally have an open door after school where any child can drop in, ask any questions. If they need help, you go through with them. You know, I'm fortunate to be in a school where everyone must succeed, because our motto is success for all. So kids normally know that they have to come in if they need help, and most teachers really stay late. You know, some even stay till 7 p.m. when they've been in school from 7 a.m. So teachers work very long to help these children plan, prepare for the exams. And there are even Saturday and Sunday sections where teachers have put extra revision sections to help these kids.
Yeah. So in some schools, in your school, for instance, and because I usually have a discussion with you, that's one of the reasons why I was really passionate in getting you to kind of speak to some of our young persons who are preparing examination. All right. So in terms of the general areas of general preparation, what do you think, or what are some of the things you would suggest to young persons who are preparing exams?
I think for me, the key is the child relaxing, you know, taking a backstage and reflecting on all the time he's been in school, not being under so much stress, but then organizing themselves. So having the exam timetable printed and displayed either on the fridge or where everybody can see it. So by you knowing the time that you've got exams, you can have your own personal timetable whilst you revise. I believe that if you plan, you will succeed. And there's nothing like not planning, because if you fail to plan, you are just planning to fail. Okay, so whatever you do, you have to do something about it. So make sure you are organized. Okay, this is where parents comes in. Parents can help with this organization. Okay, it could be color-coded, something nice and attractive, you know, on the wall. Parents are aware about it. They could even put it on their phones so that they can even text them to say that, oh, you have this exams. How can I help? You know, not putting a lot of pressure. Oh, have you revised? Have you done this? But you asking them, what can I do to help? Okay, and if there are resources you need to buy, I don't mean now that exams is in 2 weeks, but previously you've bought them textbook. You know, if there's an extra tutor, you could get them to help them. That would also be good. Or speaking to the class teacher that, oh, my son is struggling with maths. Is it able or is it possible for him to come for a one-to-one discussion on those topics? And I know most teachers are more than happy to help.
So basically, we are talking about you as a parent supporting your child, or also being aware of what your child is doing and creating the environment where your child could, because we talk about initially about support, and now you talk about things like if there's something you can do, whether it's extra classes, because sometimes people wait till whenever it's like if you've not been able to identify, and the child is writing in 2 weeks' time, and you want to go and organize something which is going to read, then you are rather going to put a lot of pressure on the child. So sometimes it's about, if there has been some challenges, when I use challenges, it could be something that's not gone right from the beginning to be able to be 2 weeks exams, when the child is panicking, the child is having a sleepless night. What do you put in as preparation as a teacher when there's a situation where, for some reason, you might say the child has not prepared? What do you think could be done to support the child?
I think the first thing you have to do is having that child with you, talking to them about exam strategies and providing them with some materials. Yes, teachers can't do everything because during the exams you have other lessons that you are teaching. Okay, so one of the things that I normally do is to refer them to some useful website that we have in the school. So for example, if it's maths, they will have Maths Watch, they have their passwords to use it, and also we've got textbook, we've got resources that are on the internet that they could use. So all of this would definitely be sent to the kids maybe the first term of year 11, and most schools have a dedicated website for this year 11s or year 13s or year 12s, where there are revision resources that they could use. If you are in a situation like this and you're struggling, the first thing I'll say to you is don't panic. Make sure you go and see your teacher, head of year, talk to them about the subjects that you are finding challenging. And if you need resources, talk to your teachers. Just be upfront and speak the truth that you're finding it difficult. It's true there are some people that can manage stress very well, and that's where teachers come in to help. Your friends could help, you know, and even some of you will go and listen to music in YouTube, but there are fantastic resources they could get from YouTube. You know, just type in a topic, there will be videos on it, attach to your relevant resources, and that could help a lot.
Excellent. I'm really fascinated about YouTube and other social media. As a teacher, what do you think young persons could use to utilize the social media to enhance their education or preparation of exams?
As a person, I think it's really good. I like them because I use a lot of resources on it. You see, but you need discipline, okay? I realized that when I was on WhatsApp, I was wasting a lot of time just reading different people's messages, and it could take me 30 minutes just responding to the same cut and paste messages. So you need discipline. Am I going on YouTube? How long am I going to spend on it? What am I looking at on YouTube? So you need to have these topics, these things that you are going to look. So I'm going on YouTube, I'm looking at a topic, and after that, I'll go off it. Okay? But if you go on YouTube and say, oh, okay, I finished revising, let me listen to this music on the social media, chatting with your friends, instead of asking them questions on this topic. For example, if you're finding algebra difficult, but you know that your friend is good at it, you could ask him, and through that, you could be chatting about it, and other people can come in, but don't waste time and start gossiping. Oh, did you see this person? Oh, have you heard this music? That is not the reason why you are there. Yeah. So it's just having that discipline and being focused on this is what I'm going to do, and then after that, you're off it. It's
about time management too, isn't it? Because sometimes we all have this issue about sometimes you are focusing on something, and if you are not a disciplined person, if you are not a focused person, where you know that it's exams time, and maybe after you've learned or you want to relax and you decide to go and watch other things, that's different. But if it's the purpose is to learn something, and you are not very careful, as you said, you deviate, that you are even overburdened with other things. So young persons over there, it's a challenge, because the other day when we have other issues about social media in general, some of our young persons were talking about Instagram, and sometimes it's like, to them, if the information they are requiring or the gossip or whatever they are dealing with, they don't go in within a specific time, they're going to lose it. And the question I was saying to them that there's a time for everything. So, for instance, the question I asked them is that if you have a group of friends, do you use the same resources to study? And some of them were saying yes, others were saying, oh, it depends, because some of your friends, their friends, they are really good in other areas, and they can communicate, and they can. So I said that's good. So the encouragement to our young person was that yes, Social media is there for you, but you got to use it to your advantage. And as you rightly hit the nail on the head, it's not just going in there and deviating, and by the time you realize it's become musical show instead of chemistry or instead of geography,
Yeah.
or because you are preparing for examination. Yeah.
I think we all, even as adults, we know that being disciplined is difficult, let alone the children. So what we need to do as parents is to help these children develop that discipline. And if we are not disciplined ourselves, then it's very difficult to teach them. So children needs help. 18 years, 16 years, they are still children. Okay, so we need to make sure we are helping. Okay, do they have to stay on whatever, their phone the whole night? No. Okay, they need to have boundaries in there that says between 5 and 7 you are revising. Okay, and whatever you are using, you're not going to be on a social network for all these 2 hours. Okay, and even between those times, they need breaks as well. Short breaks, and pause a bit rather than spending all the time just looking at the screen.
So basically, those are the things. So what other areas in terms of examination preparation will you say young persons need to be aware, and also some of the environment? Do you believe that there's anything like brain food or something which will energize children to do very well?
I think, there's something like brain food, but during exams, you need to eat well, you need to sleep well. Okay, I believe personally that you have to enjoy your exams, you have to enjoy learning. So for me, I really like nuts. So when I'm learning, I have nuts around me. Okay, it could be chocolate, it could be whatever you like, but make sure you don't have a lot of energy drinks which are packed with sugar, and all that they do is that they deplete your energy quickly. Cereal with fruits, loads of fruits in it. It's really nice. Yogurt, having fruits in there, and as young people, you need to eat. Okay, especially during exams time, because you want to be healthy. If there is one thing I'll say, is that you have to have a good sleep. You need to be healthy, and you need to make sure you take care of yourself. You see, because when you fall sick through revising the whole night, and you fall sick, you can't write the exam properly. But when you have a good sleep, your mind is sharp, you've eaten properly, you'll do well.
Your mind is sharp, eating properly, you do well. What do you think about energy drinks? What do you think about cigarettes? What do you think about drugs? Do they when I say drugs, I don't mean, yes, anything which young person stimulates them.
I think they have to be careful, because those things have a huge side effect that could affect their future. For me, I think the best thing to have is water if you want drinks. Energy drinks, especially those packed with loads and loads of sugar, you have to be careful, because it's been proven that water is the best for the brain, So it's better to have that. You could have your orange juice, but not too much of it. But stay away from drugs, stay away from those cigarettes. No go area. It doesn't stimulate anything. It doesn't help you. Health-wise, these are not good because of the chemicals that they've got in them. There's a high chance of you getting cancer in the future, because there are some carcinogens in there that has been proven. So we have to make sure we are staying away from alcohol. We're staying away from cigarettes and focusing on our books. The key is that you've got exams. You are capable. Okay, you are capable. You can do it. You need to make sure you are going over your notes. You have your flashcards in place. You have your revision guides. Use them. Go on website where there are past papers. There's a fantastic website like Maths and Physics Tutor, where they have different titles and they've got questions under each topics that will help you. Okay, so enjoy your learning. Exam is not there to break you. Exam is there for you to show off all this 5 years you've been in school, or 2 years you've been, if you're writing A2, or 1 year you've been in AS, so that, you come out successful.
Right. Exams is not there to break you. I like that. There have been some questions. I know when we were discussed initially, I think we may take you back because our regular host, Tracy Minter, would like to ask some question about, could you explain the set system to parents? The sets, systems to parents. Some children are placed in foundation set 1, 2, 3, etc.
Okay, so if a typical science exams, you've got separate science where they have 3 different exams: chemistry, biology, physics. So they've got 3 science grades. Okay, and even in that, there may be foundation paper and there are higher tier paper. We normally look at the kids' ability from year 7 to year 11, or sometimes from year 10, and how they are doing. The new course, especially in science, is a little bit more challenging because they've put a lot of things from AS into GCSE. So you realize that the kids are not really ready for it. And some also, they are put into sets because their numeracy abilities were really weak. Now in science, especially physics, there's 30% of mathematics. In chemistry, 20%. I think in biology, that's 10 or 15%. So they need to know more of their numeracy and also literacy. You know, surprisingly, some of the kids can't read and understand properly. So it's quite difficult to put them on a higher tier if they can't even read a question, let alone understand it to know what is demanded. So we put them into foundation where they are able to assess it, okay? And they are able to do their best.
Mm-hmm. All right. So also, a child may feel embarrassed to be doing a foundation paper. So this links in with ability, yeah? So it's not about discriminating or isolating. Yeah. It's about support, because there's no point in putting the child in 3 if the child cannot do it.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, we speak to the children a lot. We always give them a chance to write their exams. We don't just move a child into a lower set or upper set. They sit exams, and then whatever grade they get, they are put into the sets. And from their time, especially if you look at the math department, they start setting right from year 7. So year 7, year 8, if the child is doing well, they'll move him up. If the child is not doing well, they move him down. So it's not like when they are going to write exams, then you say that, oh, you're going to do foundation or you're doing higher. They know it at least 2 years before the exam.
Yeah.
If it's not 2 years, they will know it by the time they do their mock. Because if the mock grades comes out and you see that this child risks of not getting any grade, then it's better to put a child in foundation where there is a high chance that it could end up with a grade 3 or grade 4 rather than being in higher tier where they can't get a grade. So that's how.
So how do you usually prepare the parents? Because there are some pushy parents who think that their child should be where they are not supposed to. And sometimes we are talking about encouragement, we are talking about support. But sometimes there's a bit of lack of understanding and maybe working together with the school to be able to come to an agreement. And sometimes they think that, oh, my child. And sometimes some of our black community, they pull the race cards. Yeah, there are sometimes children who you realize that they are not given the environment. But as a teacher and also as a parent, I usually go in, and I've had situation with my young boy where we have to go in and we have to push till he got, they did not, but finally, when he got whatever he wanted, he has to move to another school. No, so sometimes, as parents, what do you see in terms of working together with the young person as a teacher? What do you see as working with the young person and the parents to be able to achieve what is best for the child?
I think you've just explained it. It's parents being realistic. You know, as parents, we need to know our children before the teacher tells us the grade of your child. Mm-hmm. As a parent, you need to know that your child can't read properly or can't do numeracy. So you put it there. You know, I have my son. I realize that he struggles with some few things. I put him into an extra tuition. Parents, especially from where we come from, are interested in building big homes back home, using their money to buy big cars and sit in there rather than thinking about the education and how to invest into the children's education. I'll give you an example. There was a child in my class and we said in the revision guide for £6. She told me it's too expensive. She's wearing a new trainers. That's almost about £140. You see, so there are no priorities. People are not interested in investing. You see, as parents, you need to think about this. When was the last time you bought a book for your child? You know, and it should be something that we should regularly do. You go out, you see a book, encourage your children to read. Have you ever bought a textbook for them? You know, fortunately for me, I grew up in Ghana, so I knew my parents have to buy books. So it's nothing new. There are people here who think school should provide everything for their children. Yes, it's good if school does it, but as a parent, you need to contribute to their children's education. So if you've been buying books, if you've been buying revision guides, if you've been reading with a child, you know what your child will be able to do, you know, and you know what you've put in place. So you wouldn't be saying that, oh, this school are doing this or that, because you know your child at this level. Then again, you could talk to the school and say, okay, my child is in foundation. What is the higher paper? Can you give my child a chance to write the exams? Can I have the results and see how I could help the child? And then with that, the teachers and the school be willing to help, and you can also help.
So this is about going to the parent-teacher evening, starting at way before.
Yes, not necessarily waiting for a parents' evening, because it's once a year.
That's what I'm saying.
You know,
right? It's about communication and also listening to your child and seeing their, as you rightly said, knowing their strengths and weaknesses so that you can be able to support them. Because sometimes it's about people hearing about what others are doing and what they think that the child can do without necessarily going to this, sitting down and hearing what. So sometimes it's like a bit of lack of understanding or lack of knowledge to be able to support our children. And you don't want to go ignorant to say, oh, I want my child to do this, when they explain to you that these are the evidence.
Yeah, I think we like hearsay. You know, somebody said this, somebody said it. We have to find the information for ourselves. You don't have to go to the school. You could email. You could give the form tutor a call. You could just say that, oh, can you collect data about my child's levels? Okay, half a term. I want to know how my child is doing before the report comes home at the end of the term. Okay, you could have a good relationship with the head of year where you constantly or sometimes phone them, find out how your child is doing academically, what you can do to help. You know, rather than waiting till the end to find out, oh, your child did not do very well. You know, and some of the kids as well, they hide their grades. They don't even tell the parents that we've got exams. You know, and then you later find out that, oh, there was exams and you could have helped your child. You know, so you have to have that relationship with the form tutor or some of the teachers.
All right. That's good. In terms of the next level, the next discussion is about stress. Do you think young persons or children in general go through stressful time in preparation for exams?
I think so. And I think they've got, to be honest, we have to confess, they've got a lot of stress and distractions than us when we were kids. You know, because of all this technology, TV is on 24 hours and priorities, like I was saying. You know, but exam stress could be positive, or little stress is good for all of us, you know, to keep us on our toes. What we need to do is to channel that stress to help us revise. So for example, when you know you've got exams on Monday, there's no point going to the chicken and chip shop, standing in front, chatting with your friend on the phone all the day Sunday. You know, a little bit of stress, you go in there, get your revision guide, get a past paper, look at it, start preparing yourself for the exams so that in the evening you have a good enough sleep. You know, but this stress can be managed, and it can be managed both from the child's point of view, the parents, and also the school, how they help the child to go through all this challenging exam period. As parents, we need to help our children, especially with times like this. You know, it is not a time for you to be stressing them, do this, do that, have you revised, shouting at them and all that. That is not helpful. You know, it's a time where you become like an expert friend, where you provide them with everything they need. Have you got your pen? Have you got your pencils? This there. I've got extra pencil for you. Have that. You know, just supplying the things they need at that moment. Have you had enough sleep? Have you eaten? Is there anything I could help? Okay, and encouraging them, saying to them that they can make it. You know, remember, it's not everybody that is supposed to get grade 9. At the same time, we don't want our children also to get used. But we have to encourage them and tell them that, you know what, whatever you bring, the grades that you get, as long as you work hard, we are happy with it.
Yeah. Interestingly, late yesterday, I was somewhere and I was driving home with someone who said something I could not comprehend. That the person's, I want to kind of be confidential, child was having an examination somewhere at a top level, and the child forgot to take a calculator. We are talking about preparation.
Yes.
A calculator. And I said, and when he asked at there, they could not. And I said, are you serious? I didn't want to say this cannot happen because this is a final year student. How can you go to examination with that calculator? And I said, well, so we are talking about preparation, yeah? We are talking about, I know the child is in uni, so it's not like mom can be chasing you. But I don't want to use the word shock. I was astounded that how can that happen? That everything in terms of that level, you've gone through first year, second year, third year. How can you go to examination if you forgot it at home? It's different. Like you were pulling things together. And what I was also shocked was that he said where they were doing the examination, there was no calculator. And I said, what university is that? I might be maybe naive or...
To be honest, for me as a teacher, it's no surprise.
All right.
Because a lot of kids comes in, they've got exams in the morning, and they'll come and ask you, oh, can you give me a pen? Oh, can you give me a ruler? Oh, can I get pencil? Can I get that? So yes, coming again into parenting, these kids are not well equipped. They're not. Some parents are not even at home when the children are going to write their exams.
Yeah.
You know.
So how do you support your child? How do you encourage your child?
That's it.
And if you are a Christian, how do you encourage them, assure them, oh, I'm praying for you, but you have done all that is possible as humanly is possible. The Lord is with you. Some encouraging words.
Yeah. And that's
or
when,
even if it's phone, texting a message or something.
Yeah. And that's when it comes in as preparation. So weekends, you've got everything. You go to the shop because of exams. Just buy them a new set of pens, pencil, and tell them this is just for exams. You know, something nice, not to stress them about it, but something nice. Oh, this is for you. This is a special pen for exam. You know, and also the kids needs to be open. Some of them also will have it, but they oversleep because the whole night they will be chatting with their friends and wasting time, so they rush to the exam. You know, but they should always go to their teachers and ask, because that's why teachers are there. We always will supply them, but we are not saying that they should be lazy and
come home
not always falling on teachers, but they should try and then get their resources.
Yeah. This is Community Care Matters COP UK Radio. We are dealing with examination preparation, examination support, and we are on the aspect of examination stress. The next question I want to ask is, what are some of the symptoms do you see? Or maybe let's finish a bit about the stress. So when you talk about the stress, what are some of the things do you think young persons could do to manage examination stress?
It's always good for them to, like we have been talking about, be organized, you know, know what exams they've got on what day and what time. They have their revision guides. They've been going through workbook and also attending revision classes. You know, it's very important that you talk to people as well about how they did it. So if there are siblings that have done GCSE, there are anybody that you know at church that has done it, talk to them. You know, don't feel as if, you are the only person under this huge cloud and you're the first person to do exams. A lot of people have done it. Yeah. You know, you'll be surprised that your parents have also done it. So speak to them. And as parents, we should also help our children not to compare our grades with them, you know, and also not compare your siblings to them. Yeah. Okay, everyone is different. Let them enjoy this moment of their life. If they're coming out with C and you know that they've done their best, celebrate it. If they come up with A's or 9s and that's their best, celebrate it, you know. But in terms of one key advice, in terms of how to manage it, I think organization. If you are well organized and you've got things in place, the stress level would not harm you. It will be positive stress.
So well organized. So will you talk about avoiding comparing your abilities with your others matter? So sometimes young person will say, I'm not good in a particular subject, but how will you talk about in terms of support? So if you have a friend who is good, how can you benefit from that young person rather than his or her abilities being a challenge so that it become negative?
I think with that, it's steady buddies. You know, most kids have steady buddies. So if I know I'm not good at algebra, I'll get a friend who is good at algebra, and you may be good at literacy, so you help each other out. You know, one thing I think the children stressed a lot about is them being compared to their siblings or their parents, friends, children, or something like that. You know, and those are the things that sometimes it demotivates kids. They are different, okay, and they are special. No matter what, yes, it's true, exams is good, but that would not define their future. There are people that have come up with 9s in exams and they can't find a job. There are people that have come up with 4s, 5s, and they are entrepreneurs. They're doing their own job. You see, let them enjoy this moment of their life, but they should put in the effort. They should study, revise, and go and do their best. You know, and as children of God, we know that the book of Psalm talks about God's blessing on Psalm 1 verse 3. It says, whatever you do will prosper. You see, so if those children have that ability to get 9, thank God. If they have the ability to get 4s, put in the effort and go and get your best grades.
Yeah. So it's about putting the effort. And when you have done what is humanly possible, then the rest is in the hands of God. Because sometimes it's about starting from what we talk about, the preparation, the support, and you know that you've rested, you've studied. What else can you do as a human being? You've done everything which is possible. And when you go in, it doesn't work out. Yes, it's a challenge, but what do you do? In terms of support, as a parent or as a teacher, how do you feel about receipt?
To be honest, if you look at AS or A2 receipt, I think especially there are some kids that are not more matured. Some take long time to mature, others also mature quickly. You know, so I've got nothing against receipt. You know, as long as you are taking the exam seriously. So, for example, if a child was ill, you know, and so could not do his best in the first exams, but if he's got a chance to improve on it, then that's good. You know, so to be honest, it depends on the scenario, and everything is, you know, we have to judge it on its own merit. Resitting exams is not bad. Improving on the grades is good. So whatever we do to improve on those grades will be good. But children should try and think about the exams as if it's just the first chance, you know, and then do well in it, rather than thinking, oh, I've got another chance, or I'll risk it. Don't worry, I'll risk it, and then waste all their time.
What about a situation where a child, after sitting the exams, results come, and the child feels that they could have done very well, and they ask you as a parent to support them to go and remark?
It's very important when you are doing remarking to speak to the teachers first. Okay, because the teachers will know the grade boundaries, how far your child is from a grade. Because I know of a scenario where a child went for remark and actually dropped 2 grades down. There were other situations where a child went for remark and the grades also went up. So we have to make sure we are in constant communication with the teachers, asking them, oh, how far is my child from this grade that they want? You know, and then you have to look at the marks realistically. Is there more than 6 marks that he needs to jump into another grade? You have to be careful. You know, or is it that if he missed it by 2? Okay, if he missed it by a couple of marks, you can try it. You know?
And I think it's about working together with the young person, the school, and as you are saying, and also how realistic it is. Because the same situation, I've heard about remarks where some grades has gone up, or sometimes come back again and they say the same grade. But it's also about resources, it's about support, isn't it? And it's not everybody who might even have this idea that in UK you can request for remark. But it's also about you knowing, and also parents understanding the system, right? I have to take you back again. One of the questions which I left initially about the foundation, when we're talking about foundation, is the question was, can a child may not wish to write a foundation paper, but the teachers insist. Can the parent oppose?
I think, to be honest, there's always a dialogue. Okay, there is a dialogue where you have to show the parents. If the parents want to oppose, you have to show the parents the dangers of your child not getting any grades. Okay, there are some parents that will push it, but you show them that consistently your child hasn't been getting the grade. And in most schools, they don't just start, like I told you, they don't start from year 11 when it's going to get an exams grade. They may start from year 9. There are series of exams, and it's telling you that this child is not capable. In my school, I know they move some kids down because they can't get a grade, and you don't want to risk them not making a GCSE. So you have to be realistic.
So how do you, as a school, kind of work together with the parents and not compromising? Sometimes is it about the school or is it about the child's individual performance affecting the school? Or, as you rightly said, being realistic?
I think the first thing is always about the child. It's not about the school. It's not about the parents. It's about the child, because you want the best for the child. So as teachers, we talk to the child. We make sure they understand where they are. And most kids are very honest. They know their abilities. Some of them, it may be due to being lazy. They've not studied. They will say, oh, okay, you give me a chance. I'll do this higher exams, and you see. And some people prove themselves. Then you move them onto the higher paper. So it's not fixed in stone. There are children that realistically will say, it's true, that is my level. And parents are in denial. So you have to show them the series of exams that you've done. And you just have to say to the parent, it's the child that is the most important thing, and that's the focus.
Right.
Not about the school grades. So.
Yeah, that's important, because sometimes you hear about, you want to promote the schools and you think that my child is not doing well. And it's about having that dialogue and that communication, also focus on the child. Yeah, thank you. Also, in terms of stress, what are some of the symptoms? Because I was doing some research and I realized that when young persons are going through stress level, or people in general, there were things which you could find out. And going back to stress, there was this quotation which says that everyone gets stressed during exams, but it's important not to let it get out of control. Yeah? So, what are some of the symptoms? Do you see some of our young persons, or some of these young persons who are preparing for GCSE and A levels, whom you think that they go through?
I think now it's been in the news a lot about mental health for kids. You could see how this young person is not actually coping well. Some of them fall ill, and in the morning you're expecting them. They say they've gone to the doctors and all that. Those are signs. There are others, even if they are in a room, you see the way they talk. Some of them become very quiet and withdrawn, from their usual self. So those are signs that you could see. Some of them, when you're asking them questions, you see them panicking. Others would even just burst into crying. Yeah. So those are signs that you could see that
what is happening. It's
this
gone.
person needs support.
Yeah.
And this is where, as parents, you have to be closer to your child. If you see any change, are they locking themselves in a room for too long? Yes, it's true, we want them to revise, but we don't want them to be revising the whole day. They should come out. Yes, they should enjoy their normal activity. If they're going to swimming, they should be going to the swimming or to the gym, whatever they do, so that you see what is going on with them. But encourage them. I think one of the things that our children need to hear more is encouraging them, telling them that, put in the effort, it will pay. Do your best. Have you got the resources you need? What can I do to help? Have that constant relationship, chat with them. Sometimes it could be good, because a lot of us are not even reading our Bibles. So we could set ourselves challenge. We're going to all revise together. You've got numerous, you've got maths exams today. Okay, tonight we're going to sit there and you are revising your maths for 1 hour. I'm also going to read my Bible for 1 hour. And with that, it helps. Sometimes they don't want you to be around them, but let them know that you're also in your room reading. And after 1 hour, we'll press it, and then we'll come and see each other. And then that's it. So that's a good way of motivating them.
That's great. I was doing some research about stress level and some of the things I saw and what they did in terms of the kind of litmus test, a chemistry master, so you really understand this and join me. It says that if you notice 3 or more of the above symptoms, for a few weeks, you may need to do something about your stress levels. And I'm going to go through a list.
Okay.
And it's interesting to see. It says things like difficulty in getting to sleep or difficulty waking up in the morning, constant tiredness, forgetfulness, unexplained aches and pains, poor appetite, loss of interest in activities, increased anxiety and irritability, increased heart rate, migraines and headaches, dizziness. And it concluded by saying, if you notice 3 or more above symptoms for a few weeks, you may need to do something about your stress level. And this one, you could use it across the board, from examination to work. Sometimes I struggle to sleep because of work-related issues, or sometimes you preparing to go to a conference or court, and or some families, they stress you that you come in there, you know that you are going to meet them. And I was saying to a colleague who said to me that there are some homes you are going there and you panic. You are going there, you're going to work with them, you panic. Why? Because you know what you're going to expect. So stress level, and that's why I say to young persons and children, is that when you have these things, you are preparing yourself for life. Because you prepare yourself for examination, you're able to go through these things. And these are the things you might do it in O levels, A levels, university. Once you're able to go through, it's a preparation for life.
Yes.
Because this, compared with our parents, we paying the bills the same. Yes. If you are not able to pay the bills, we go through some of these symptoms. You are not able to sleep in the night, because if you are not careful, the bailiffs will come in the morning. So you are not going to tell your child the bailiffs will come in, but you have to have a discussion with your wife or your partner to say, how do you support it? So sometimes when we are talking about stress, as we talked about earlier, it's about what? How a level of this do not get out of control. Yeah. So in terms of supporting your young persons, what do you think we need to do to be able to kind of address some of the things we've listed?
I think I really like the way you used it as a personal thing, as you preparing things and how you go through it. And as parents, most of us will say that, yeah, we go through that. You know, even as teachers, when the results day is coming, you're panicking, you can't sleep. Oh, how are the kids doing? You know, even exams, you're panicking about this child. Will he come in? Will he come and write the exams? So, yes, I think we should use that experience to tell the kids that, you know what, we went through that and you will be fine. It's not something that will be there forever, okay? You may lose a little bit of sleep, but because you are organized, try and switch off. Yes, it's true. It's 10 o'clock. You're going to bed. It's 6 a.m. You're going to wake up and you'll be fine. We have to make sure that they've got food that they are eating, okay? At home, during this exams period is the time to have some healthy breakfast. If possible, parents have time together, they pray together, they eat. And then, you know, even if you have to sometimes give the child a lift to school, if it's possible, you know, just do something nice to help them, because we know it. When we are going to stress, our husbands or wives will help us a bit more than they usually will do, you know, and it's the same with the kids. We have to support them. You know, we have to encourage them to eat. We need to, for example, if they wrote an exams on a Friday morning, if possible, then finance is there. During the weekend, Friday evening, take them out. You don't have a meal together. Let them enjoy that exams period, and I think the stress level will come down, rather than us shouting at them, have you revised? Do you know what you have on Monday? Have you got this? Have you got this? They've got it in place because you've taught them how to organize. So you help them by, you know, reminding them and also helping them enjoy the moment, you know, rewarding them. Oh, well done. You waked up on time. That's great. Today's maths exams is going to go well, you know. If you've got 30 minutes, sit down and then have a chat about some positive things, not always about reminding them the exams. Talk about something else. Take them to swimming, do their normal sports, maybe reduce the frequency they do it, but at least they should do it once a week.
Yeah. And I think it's important that as parents, you rightly hit the nail on the head, that we support them, we create the environment. Because sometimes the stress level is caused by the parents more than the children.
I agree.
And it's about the expectation. Because every parent, I remember very well recently my geography master, who in secondary school, bless him, who said to us that every parent wants their children to achieve better than what they achieve. And he used to say things like, don't come and ask me a question when I've supported you and you are not able to listen. Yeah, go to your parents, because I have so many of you that I cannot do what your parents are supposed to do. And it's already done on me as a parent that, all right, you go to school, you have the support. So at least before I can ask something from my parent, at least I've spoken to my tutors, or I've prepared myself and I've done what is possible. All that he was trying to say was that we, as children, also have a responsibility, especially when you're going to write your exams. And as you rightly said, you've prepared towards it. You don't wait till last minute, then you go and dump it on the teacher.
Yeah.
So all that he was saying is that if I've helped you and you have not taken it, don't just come in and put every pressure on me. Also go back to your parents because they are equally responsible.
Yeah.
And it was something which I reflected and I said, look, this guy was saying something, but at that time, as a young person, I could not understand because I didn't. That time I wasn't prepared, and I was going to ask certain things and realized that why you come ask me? But I was very good in geography, and I remember O levels. I got grade 1. But what was interesting was this teacher, the way he put it. It was like I was going to ask something he felt I should have asked earlier. Why are you coming now? And it's all about preparation.
Right, that's great advice. That it's all sharing the responsibility,
Yeah.
isn't it? The child needs to know his responsibility, what he can do, parents, what they are contributing, and the parents and the teachers as well. Just to correct a little bit of something you've said, because the children may take it wrongly. And when you said you got grade 1 in geography, you're talking about the old level. Sorry,
In
the new system, grade 9 is actually grade 1 equivalent to what you got.
Yeah. That's okay. Yeah. All right. So in concluding, today's topic is as a Community Welfare Matters COP Radio. You've been having our guest today, Mr. Raymond Johnson, who is the PEMEF leader of COP Fountain Gate Tabernacle, and also is a brilliant father of 2 children and married to a beautiful lady, and also a father who supports young persons. And today we've gone through exam preparation, we've gone through exams support or support in general as parents, and also stress level. So in conclusion, what will you say for parents, for young persons there who are preparing for examination, Raymond?
To be honest, if there's something I'll say to students, I want to encourage you. And I want to say that the exams is not going to break you. You will do well. Make sure you're revising. Get your timetable. Don't miss any exam saying that you're panicking. Please, if you need help, seek for that help. Teachers are there to help. Your tutors are there to help. Your parents are there to support you as well as your friends. You know, there are resources that you can use to revise. Please don't hide in a corner and then get stressed out and think that you are the only person who doesn't understand a certain topic. Remember, you don't need 100% to even get a grade 9. So do your best. I say work hard and make sure you've had enough sleep. To parents, I want you to encourage your children. They are good children, okay? Like Moses' parents said, this child is beautiful and I'm not going to kill that child. You see, remember, your child is beautiful. They can do it. So encourage them. Motivate them, treasure them, buy things for them. And as teachers, I want parents to know that they know as demonic as people think they are there to support their children. So call them, ask them what help they can give to your children, and tell your children to go and see them. You know, parents as well, I would say that make sure you are aware when your children have got exams and remind them, because I have seen a scenario where children miss exams because they can't even remember that they've got exams. Okay.
So it's about working together. It's about using the resources. It's about parenting. It's not just only paying the bills, but also setting the right environment. Because you as a parent, you have to know the exams your children are writing, and some of the stress level you can put to them or the support is to ask questions. Yeah, there's a difference between the child oversleeping or the child not good knowing, but also you set the right environment. Do you text them? Do you ask them? So this should be about you having some awareness so that you can support the child. We'll be concluding, and we are very pleased with people who have been watching and sending their questions. And as you rightly said, the discussion today has been exams preparation, support and stress. And the guest today has been Mr. Raymond Johnson. Thank you very much for your support. You have always been great. It's a gentleman I really respect and I really uphold, because he's a father and he's a man I really work with in all levels, in COP UK. Thank you, Raymond, for responding to this call, because I knew that as a teacher and as a father, you were the right person to come and grace this occasion. So God bless you for being there, and God bless everyone who has been watching and supporting us. We will be signing off, and hopefully we will see you next week again on Community Welfare Matters COP Radio. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you.